There are things in life that we cannot grasp with our eyes, but we can feel them deeply with our soul. Like a gentle breeze brushing through our hair, shapeless, voiceless, yet powerful enough to make us pause and listen. The wind doesn't need to be seen to make an impact. It doesn't seek titles or recognition to prove its worth. It travels through countless lands, touches countless lives, and leaves behind lessons few ever notice. Today, let's pause for a moment. Close your eyes, take a deep breath, and listen to 7 life lessons whispered by the wind. Lessons only heard by those quiet enough to truly listen. The wind belongs to no one, yet it passes through every corner of the world. It's not held back by towering mountains, nor stopped by vast oceans. The wind has no home, no fixed destination, and that's exactly why it is free. In life, we are often bound by too many things: expectations, fears, labels, or the gaze of others. We live as if we must please someone, achieve something, or prove our worth to be accepted. But the wind teaches us the opposite, that true freedom isn't about where we're headed, but how we live. The wind doesn't need to be kept to have value. It can cool a summer day, scatter the clouds, or carry the scent of flowers from a faraway field. It is present without needing to possess. The wind's lesson is simple. Learn to let go of the invisible chains that weigh down your soul. Learn to live without letting the past hold you back or the future fill you with fear. Only then can you be truly free, like the wind quietly soaring through the open sky, untouched, unchained, unstoppable. You can't see the wind. You can't hold it in your hands, can't sketch its shape, and you certainly can't fit it into a mold. But you feel the wind just as clearly as you feel sunlight warming your skin or music echoing in your heart. The wind brushes through your hair, rustles the leaves, ripples the surface of a quiet lake, lifts a kite into the sky. It doesn't need to be seen to be known. It's present in every movement, in every breath the world takes. We grow up in a society that teaches us to be recognized, you have to stand out. You have to speak louder, shine brighter, show something: good looks, great achievements, a life that sparkles on social media. But the wind is different. It exists quietly, yet it leaves a deep, lasting impact. No flash, no noise, and it never needs to be seen to prove its worth. Within each of us lies a strength much like the wind, a quiet power. Maybe you're someone who doesn't like crowds, who doesn't speak in front of others, who struggles to show emotions. That doesn't make you invisible, because real value isn't found in display. It's found in the mark you leave behind. You might be the one who stays beside a friend in silence when they're down, the one who works hard every day behind the scenes, the one without titles, without applause, but with full-hearted effort. And like the wind, you might be changing an entire space just by the quiet presence you bring into it. Presence doesn't have to be seen to matter. It just has to make a difference. The wind doesn't need to prove anything, and neither do you. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is to live true to yourself, even if no one claps, even if no one says your name, because the quietest things are often the most lasting. So just be you, soft as the wind, shapeless, pressureless, unpretentious, yet more than enough to make this world never quite the same after you pass through it. The wind isn't always wild and fierce. Some days it's just a whisper, a thin, gentle breeze slipping through the morning window. It brushes softly against your skin, whispers through the trees, and disappears as if it had never been there. The wind is tender and intentional. It knows when to gently kiss a field of flowers, knows when just a nudge is enough to push open a door, knows when to pass by a weary soul, not to shake them, but just enough to make them pause, take a deep breath, and remember that they're still alive. In this life, we're often taught that to be heard, we must speak loudly, that to earn respect, we must show force. But sometimes, what truly opens the human heart isn't a roar, but a well-timed gentleness. Gentleness is not weakness. Gentleness is strength under control. It's knowing you don't need to impose to be powerful. It's choosing to step back so others can be themselves. It's choosing to listen instead of argue, to respond with calm instead of anger, to be patient instead of trying to control. Have you ever met someone who made you feel at peace just by being there? That's the power of gentleness, a healing kind of presence. Like a cool breeze on a hot day, like a soft touch that melts all tension away. The wind doesn't need to scream to change the world. And you don't need to force yourself to be tough all the time. Sometimes, being the gentlest person in the room is also being the strongest, because gentleness is a form of wisdom. It's knowing that not everyone needs to be corrected. Some just need to be understood. It's realizing that softness can reach into places power could never touch. The wind teaches us. Sometimes just a breath is enough to change an entire day. And you could be that breeze. Quiet, unassuming, yet perhaps the gentlest thing someone's ever felt in their entire life. But don't think the wind only knows how to be gentle, because when the moment calls for it, the wind can become one of the most powerful forces this world has ever known. It can topple ancient trees, tear down walls once thought unshakable, rise into fierce storms, shattering limits, sweeping away all that is false. The wind doesn't roar to show off, but it also doesn't hesitate to rise with full force when the time comes. And within that storm, there is wisdom. That is the wind's lesson, to know when to be soft and when to rise. In life, there are moments when you must be patient, gentle, willing to step back. But there are also moments when you must become the powerful wind, to protect what you believe in, to stand tall in the face of what threatens what's right. There are boundaries that must not be crossed. There are times when silence is no longer golden, but surrender. There are things that if you don't stand up for today, you'll regret for a lifetime. Just like the wind storms in to clear the skies, there are times when you must rise in righteous anger, strong enough to say, I deserve respect. I will not accept injustice, and I am not afraid to change. The wind teaches us. True strength is not about being hard all the time. It's about being awake. Awake enough to know when to be strong. The strongest person isn't the one who never falls. It's the one who chooses to rise again and again. The one who defends what matters, even if it means being misunderstood, opposed, or alone. The one who is like the wind, gentle in the spring, but unafraid to rise when the right thing must be protected. You can live that way too, not always proving yourself, but always ready, when life calls you out of your comfort zone, to become the bravest version of yourself. The wind doesn't fear rebellion, because it knows. Sometimes you must turn the world upside down to clear the air. And you too, sometimes, to change your life, you have to become the storm, not to destroy, but to begin again. From what's real, you never see the wind being stubborn, because the wind doesn't compete for space, doesn't cling to one shape, doesn't resist what it cannot change. The wind always finds a way, through the tiniest gap between two cliffs, through the space beneath a closed door. Even when blocked, it will slip around, flow over, or simply wait for the right moment to move again. No rebellion, no collapse. The wind doesn't need to win, only to keep going. And that is the quiet power of adaptability, a survival skill the modern world is slowly forgetting. In your life, there will be moments when every plan falls apart. The things you thought were certain suddenly vanish. You lose your job. You lose someone you love. You get betrayed. You face a failure you never saw coming. And in those moments, what keeps you from breaking down isn't talent. It's not knowledge either. It's your ability to adapt. It's when you learn how to bend so you don't break. It's when you shift your mindset instead of forcing the world to change. It's when you understand. Not everything has to go according to plan, as long as you stay true to your essence. Just like the wind, which may change form, but never its freedom. To adapt doesn't mean to surrender. It means mastering the art of staying rooted, even as the ground moves beneath you. It's being flexible enough to change direction, but firm enough to stay aligned with your deepest values. The wind can become a soft morning breeze or a roaring ocean storm, but whatever form it takes, it is still itself, always in motion, always moving forward. in a world that changes by the minute. The ones who adapt are the ones who survive. Not just physically, but spiritually. They don't tie their identity to a single role, a fixed plan, or a perfect outcome. They learn how to rise from what's been broken. They understand. Each time they bend without breaking, they grow stronger. So when life begins to feel tight, when the door slams shut, when you're pushed out of your comfort zone, remember the lesson of the wind. Don't try to crash through the wall. Find another way. Or better yet, become the wind and move through what once seemed impossible. The wind leaves no footprints, but always leaves an impact. You can't hold the wind in your hands. You can't trap in a box, but you can always feel it in the rustling of leaves, in the slight rattle of a door, in the coolness brushing across your skin on a summer afternoon. The wind comes and goes without a sound, but it never leaves without leaving something behind. Maybe you've met someone like that. They weren't loud. They didn't try to impress. They didn't demand attention or chase recognition. But somehow, just by stepping into your life, they left a feeling you couldn't forget. A simple sentence, a small act of kindness, one moment of listening without judgment, and then they moved on quietly like the wind. But from that moment on, you were never quite the same again. That is the kind of impact that lasts. Not because it shouted, but because it touched the deepest part of you. In this world, people often talk about making a mark. They want to be remembered. They want to do something big. They want to leave a legacy. But the wind teaches us something different. You don't need to shake the earth. You just need to touch one person at the exact moment they need it most. And sometimes, that's enough to change their entire life. True power doesn't come from being loud. It comes from being steady, being present, being kind. The wind doesn't break stone with a single strike, but year after year, it smooths the roughest surfaces, softens the hardest edges, until even the most rigid things are reshaped. And you don't need to change the world overnight. You just need to stay true to what's right. Be kind to the people in front of you, and show up fully in each moment. Real influence isn't the applause after you're gone. It's the quiet shift you leave in someone's heart. Long after you've left, the wind doesn't need a name to be remembered, but those who felt it, they know something in them has changed. And maybe that's the most beautiful thing a person can leave behind in this life. Not fame, but a quiet touch that echoes deeply in another soul. No matter where you are on your journey, the wind keeps moving. It doesn't stop to complain. It doesn't look back in regret. It doesn't stand still just because today's sky is gray. The wind always moves forward, even when it's blocked by towering mountains. It finds a way through, even when it's trapped in a small space. It looks for an exit. No frustración, no blame, just a quiet decision to keep going. In life, you will have pauses, moments of exhaustion, days when you feel like you've lost your direction completely. But the wind has a lesson for those days. Keep moving. Even if it's slow, it's okay. Even if you don't know exactly where you're headed, it's okay. As long as you don't stay frozen in despair. The wind doesn't need to know the destination. It just knows every step forward is part of the journey. And as long as it's in motion, it is free. You're no different. Don't let your past hold you back. Don't let fear keep you stuck. Be like the wind, gentle but persistent, quiet but never still. Because only by moving forward can you reach a place you've never been before. The wind has no fixed shape. It doesn't seek control. It doesn't crave recognition. And yet, its very invisibility is what makes it powerful. Because within that gentleness lies a profound way of living. The wind teaches us humility. It doesn't need to stand above others, only to be in the right place. It teaches us depth, not loud or flashy, but full and present on the inside. It teaches us to give freely, without conditions, without expecting anything in return. It teaches us to reflect truth, silently, clearly, without distortion. It teaches us fairness. It doesn't choose who it touches. It doesn't judge. It simply flows. It teaches us to be adaptable, like water, like mist, like a clear breath of air. And above all, it teaches us never stop moving. Life will shift. It will challenge you. It It will change in ways you never planned. But if you live like the wind, gentle yet strong, invisible yet deeply present, quiet yet unwavering, then you'll have lived a life of real impact, even if no one ever remembers your name. So be the wind, not to be seen, but to be felt in ways no one forgets.